Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is back at the White House. Obviously, the last time he was in the Oval Office, Trump threw a complete and total temper tantrum.
What if a bomb drops on your head right now?
Yeah, that was a part of it. And then, since that meeting, of course, Trump just recently had his big failure of a summit with Putin, where Putin got a lot of benefits, but Ukraine didn't. Trump didn't, the United States didn't, and Putin didn't concede anything. But now he's meeting with Zelenskyy. I'll show you some of what we know there. We'll probably have other updates throughout the day. But even before getting into that, this keeps being a common theme, which is while some gesture towards peace is taking place, even Putin's summit, you have barrages of Russian attacks, as if to say, we're spitting as much as we can in the face of course, Ukraine, but also even America, and mocking Trump here. So Zelenskyy announced, as this was about to take place, this was a demonstrative and cynical Russian strike. They're aware that a meeting's taking place today in Washington that will address the end of the war. And then he goes through, lays out the specifics, but just more devastation while this is happening. Again, I keep saying that in a moment like this, if it were the case that Putin was serious about peace, he could show that in about 100 ways, which is why this sort of summit that Trump had with him seemed so ridiculous, because he hadn't even taken a step towards peace. So why are we honoring him? A war criminal with literally a red carpet. And people took note, there wasn't a red carpet when Zelenskyy arrived at the White House. Different treatment there for sure. And then just a couple more things before getting into the substance of the meeting, which was a big, the whole time I was watching, I was really nervous because of what happened last time. And Zelenskyy says one thing that slightly gets under the skin of sensitive Trump or Vance, and you're going to have a whole blow up again. But look at this, a Russian armored vehicle flew as this meeting's taking place right after Trump's meeting with Putin, a Russian and American flag, flying our flag as a part of their war of aggression. Disgusting. And seems oh so very purposeful. Then in preparation for this meeting, Trump posted, President Zelenskyy of Ukraine can end the war with Russia almost immediately if he wants to, or he can continue to fight. So even though what you're about to see, surprisingly, kind of shockingly, Trump was much more respectful to Zelenskyy this go around in the actual meeting itself, but he's still doing an utterly disgusting thing, which is even just little posts like that, misstating who holds the power right now for peace and who's acting in its interest. Zelenskyy has done what he can, which is agree over and over to unconditional ceasefires. Of course, Russia didn't. But just, again, look at this image. For our American flag to be being flown right after that summit and during this meeting, it's just absolutely disgusting. So as the cameras were kind of getting set up and Trump and Zelenskyy were sitting in the Oval Office, you heard Zelenskyy say, this can't be too long. I know Trump likes to go really long with these. And then says something to Vance, kind of, hey, let's, I don't know what he said, but from the body language, it's like, let's not have a whole blow up. Have you thanked me once, Zelenskyy? Do you have your pacifier? That's what I want Zelenskyy to say to Vance. Do you have your pacifier today?
Not too long.
No, very short. Very short.
In between us.
Well, thank you very much.
And that's where the meeting started. Hey, camera operators. Hi. So what they have to do, is for the meeting, they have to zoom in on a subject to focus the camera. If we're going to do that, can we just, would it be fine with you if we don't zoom in on his neck sag? Like, just do the tie or do the top of his head. Do we need the neck sag to be the thing you're focusing on? Where the whole room, the whole orientation of the focus of the camera for the whole room is his neck? Do we need that? I don't think we need it. All right. So now we get into the meeting itself. Obviously, as an American, humiliating every time Trump holds a meeting with a world leader, because he'll just start rambling about the most random stuff. So he was talking about mail-in ballots, and he started just talking about random things. But first, on the actual issue here, you have this question being asked.
Do you think it's fair?
Yes, Peter, go ahead.
Thank you, President Trump. So, President Zelenskyy, you say in a post on X today, Russia must end this war, which it itself started. President Trump, you say President Zelenskyy of Ukraine can end the war with Russia almost immediately if he wants to. Which is it?
Yeah, I think that's true. I think we're going to have a meeting. I think if everything works out well today, we'll have a trilat. And I think there will be a reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that.
All right. So again, Trump was being much more hesitant to be as insane as he is on social media, which, hey, I guess credit to him for not throwing another temper tantrum. I don't really know. This was a really loaded question.
And so that's why President Zelenskyy, are you prepared to keep sending Ukrainian troops to their deaths for another couple years, or are you going to agree to redraw the maps?
Thank you for your question. So, first of all, we live under each day attacks. That today have been a lot of attacks and a lot of wounded people, and the child was dead, small one year and a half. So we need to stop this war, to stop Russia, and we need support American and European partners. And we will do our best.
So that was kind of the gist of Zelenskyy, which I get. For the sake of his country, it is really important that he has the U.S. in his good graces. So I get why he has to sit there as Trump rants about Biden's corrupt and Biden sucks, which Trump kept doing. Zelenskyy would just sit, even though obviously Zelenskyy doesn't believe that. And then he has to, at the beginning of the meeting, I don't have this clip, but it was like, let me just say, thank you, 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 thank you. Hey, Vance, thank you so much. You look so great today. I haven't looked at any memes of you recently. Thank you. Trump, thank you. Wow, your neck sack is looking great. Thank you. Because that was kind of a point of contention last time. Again, unjustifiably. Zelenskyy says thank you all the time anyways, but he has to really play the part that Trump wants him to. And I hate that, but that's why there he gets asked a really loaded question. And you would want to snap. Like, what do you mean sending our soldiers to die? We're just trying to defend ourselves here. But he can't snap at the reporter. Who knows? Vance could jump in if he does that. So he just has to go, in general, thank you for the question. We're fighting. We're hoping for peace, right? Just keep it real simple so that there's nothing Trump can jump onto him about. Obviously, you remember one of the things that blew up for no reason at the last meeting was, why wasn't Zelenskyy wearing a suit? A wartime president not wearing a suit happened before, notably. And now they have a problem with it because they're so bitter for some reason towards Ukraine. So you can see Zelenskyy, when he showed up at the White House, is wearing like an all black, I'll just describe for our podcast listeners, sort of, it still has a military look, but it's definitely suit-ish.
There's President Trump greeting him. I imagine that this meeting is probably going to go a lot better than that one at the White House a couple of months ago, which did not end well. Let's see if we can listen in here.
President Trump, sir, your message to the people of Ukraine as world leaders gather here today. Russia continues to attack civilians.
Because think about what Zelenskyy is seeing. Zelenskyy, as his country is being attacked, slaughtered, this invasion has been happening now for years. He's seeing that all it took for Trump to back off of his threats against Putin, literally, was rolling out the red carpet, showing up to that meeting, and kissing Trump's ass. I guess Putin didn't roll out the red carpet, but was a red carpet meeting where Putin says the election was stolen and you would have stopped this war whenever it got started, right? There's all the stuff we covered. And so Zelensky's thinking, well, dang, I guess the thing I have to do to like pull Trump back, it's like this is a really oversimplified metaphor, but I guess that was a simile because I said two people standing with treats trying to get the dog to come to them. You know, it's like, Trump, come here. You're so handsome. You're so cute. Come here. Instead of Trump handling this like an adult, He's literally just being swayed back and forth and so manipulated by Putin. So now Zelensky's gonna go, all right, I'll wear a suit. I'll say thank you 100 times. And as much as it's cringy and shameful that Trump requires that of people, instead of just standing for what's right, it is the correct strategy on Zelensky's part. This was kind of a chilling moment. A reporter asks Zelensky, will you hold elections once the war's over? Which obviously, and they've made a whole deal of how constitutionally Ukraine doesn't hold elections if a war is happening. And so that's constitutional, but then also logistical. If towns are occupied and strikes are happening all the time, how even would you facilitate a safe election? But they'll use that to equivocate between Putin, who really doesn't hold free and fair elections, and a wartime president in Zelensky. And Trump hears that and goes, oh, you're saying if you're at war, you don't have to hold elections? And then he mentions 3.5 years from now, maybe we'll be in a war.
Upon peace, God willing we get peace, are you open to holding an election in your country?
Yes, of course. We are open for election, yes. We have to do safety circumstances, and a little bit we need to work in the parliament, because during the war you can't have elections, but we can do security. We need, we need a truth, yes, everywhere, in the battlefield, in the sky, in the sea, to make possible for people to do democratic, open, legal elections.
So you say during the war you can't have elections. So let me just say 3.5 years from now. So you mean if we happen to be in a war with somebody, no more elections? Oh, that's good. I wonder what the fake
You like this idea?
Yeah.
No.
Speaking of news,
You get it? Okay, you get it? Yeah, you get it? Not really a joking matter, but also that's also not how our Constitution works, so that doesn't work for you, buddy. But, okay. Now, sorry, this article is about the flag waving, so we'll move on from that. You did have Brian Glynn, who was the one at the last meeting who said, Mr. Zelensky, why aren't you wearing a suit? And this time he said, you look very good in your suit. Is this really mass slaughter, war? This is what we're focused on, Brian.
President, last week, Brian, go ahead, Brian.
Yes, sir. I've got a question for each of you.
Yes.
First of all, Mr. President Zelensky, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, looks good on
I
you.
said the one that attacked you last time. See, now I remember that.
Yeah, I apologize to you. You look wonderful. No, my first question for you, President Zelensky.
In the same suit. You see, I changed, you are not.
Maybe yours is much better.
Okay, that's actually funny from Zelensky. He said, well, it looks like you're in the same suit you were last time. As we continue through this, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show. It's free, but it supports what we do algorithmically, and specifically today, I'm sure there'll be lots of breaking news items we'll be jumping on throughout the day. Trump was complaining. So again, you're in the fate of the man's country that you're sitting next to is on the line. And Trump's ranting about mail-in ballots. He's ranting about Biden. And then he's ranting about how the press isn't fair enough to him amid this war.
No.
Speaking of news, I got a question for you. This sounds insane for me even to ask this, but do you think the American media really doesn't even want a peace deal? Because they've seen they've been so critical of you every step of the way as you lead the charge for peace.
It's an amazing phenomenon. I said that if in the settlement you got Moscow, St. Petersburg, and thousands of miles around them, they would say I made a bad deal. The level of hatred and animosity is incredible. Not with all. I mean, we have great people up here. We also have terrible people up there that I think are told what.
And then he spins about, I'll stop it there, but about, a few more minutes. Just they're so unfair. They won't treat me the way I should be treated. Again, wild and scary that he would even entertain that question. And then it was also Brian Glynn, I think, who said, hey, you posted about mail-in ballots. Should we get rid of mail-in ballots? And Trump was like, yeah, I guess that's off topic, but, and then spends 10 minutes ranting about mail-in ballots. And it's just, you're allowed to go, oh no, we're focused on something really important here. We're going to stay on that topic. And I'm not actually concerned about how American press is treating me in this circumstance. You can do that. It's very possible. And interestingly, someone like Biden wouldn't even be asked that question because the press knows he's not gonna take that bait and won't care about it. Whatever you want to say about Biden, they know that he's gonna kind of care more about the guy sitting next to him in that situation. But the press hasn't treated Trump unfairly. He has handled this, as I've been outlining, wrong at just about every turn, incorrectly. Now, just to kind of lighten the mood a little bit, I had to check this like 12 times. I didn't realize this was a real story, but then I was like, wait, the Daily Beast, that's not satire. And then looked it up, and it seems to be the case. Putin brings with him a poop briefcase when he travels so that other foreign journalists, foreign governments can't keep his poop because there are sensitive things in poop. President Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump weren't the only summit attendees who held a press conference last Friday. Second, less covered briefing offered a rare glimpse into the Russian leader's personal life from a source deep within his inner circle. They're being silly, but this is apparently a real thing. Putin's personal poop briefcase. And I don't even think we can get into this. It's just too, but they do a satirical conversation between the poop briefcase and, I guess, the press. Poop briefcase. Thank you for coming. I'd like to start with a short statement. I journeyed to the Alaskan summit with high hopes of engagement, sadly returned home empty, much like President Trump. What? So what we were talking about before we got going today was why, I mean, the explanation I read was, you can learn a lot about someone's health and their biological functions from their fecal matter, which that makes sense. But what is so sensitive in Putin's fecal matter that he has to literally keep his poop in a briefcase? It's like, is he on some really wild medicine? And then imagine thinking, I'm gonna rise to the top of Russian society and I'm gonna be in Putin's inner circle, and then you get the poop briefcase job, and like you just have to go after him and scoop it out of the toilet and put it into a suitcase and then carry that around. So just think about that. Just think about it. Share your thoughts in the comments.